My brother has always been the golden child of the family because he went off and got his little college degree. Well, I've been the one successfully running our father's business, but now that my brother is coming back from college with his fancy paper degree, he thinks that he can just take away what I've built. Well, I've got something coming for him.
My father failed to understand that there's a big difference between having work experience and being book smart. I've worked with my father for years and I've sacrificed everything to make sure his business grew. But he kicked me out of his business because he thought my smart brother could handle things because of his educational qualifications. From our childhood days, my brother Dave has always been the pain in the butt. For starters, he was the golden child of the family and my parents pampered him more than they pampered me. While Dave was someone who loved showing off, bragging about his grades and always trying to show that he was smarter than me, I was the reserve child. I didn't do so well in school because school was not my thing. My grades were terrible, and if I had the opportunity, I would have preferred to start my own business at a very young age, even if it were reselling old stuff just to earn a bit of money. Dave was somebody who loved school. He was always eager to go to school, and because of his quote Mr. Know-It-All personality, he was always at the top of his class, and my parents used to compare me to him all the time. They always say something like, "Look, Mason, your brother aced his test again, but you keep coming out as average." I know Dave would love it every time my parents said that, because the expression on his face showed that he loved to receive the praise. After high school, I told my parents I wanted to work for my father's company. My father owned a big business and it was doing well, but they insisted that I go to college just like they did. But this time, Dave was still in high school and he was almost wrapping up. My refusal to go to college caused a very big fight between my parents and me, and after weeks of going back and forth, they agreed. Right from when I was little, they knew I was passionate about business. So my father agreed to have me work with him, and he did that because he expected that I would crack after months of joining him, but I ended up working with my father for 7 years. In the 7 years I worked for my father's company, the business flourished and we gained more clients. I'll admit that there was a lot of learning to do, but I grew from the smallest position to the position of senior manager. This did not happen by mistake. It happened through my consistent hard work, taking courses and always looking for ways to grow and improve up the business. So, it even got to the point where my father no longer had to worry about his business at all. I handled everything in his presence and absence. Towards the end of my 5th year in business, my father got terminally ill, and this reduced his presence in managing and overseeing the business. Well, that was the year I got promoted to the position of senior manager, and since then I've been handling everything while he occasionally shows up at the company to see how things are going. Since the first day I joined my father's business, I've always treated it like my own. Up until the day I left, the excitement I had on the first day did not wane. I was always looking for ways to get us more clients and sales, and I was actively involved in almost all the departments. The sales department, advertising, logistics, customer service, every department. I had a great relationship with the staff, and we all got along pretty darn well. All this while, my younger brother Dave had traveled out of the country to study business management at a good university, and I did not know he planned on coming home because he never mentioned it to anybody. Honestly, I thought he would settle in the company and, at the country he was schooled in, and just start his own business or work at the top company there or something like he always bragged about. I did not know that Dave would come home to ruin everything I've been working for. Well, when Dave told everybody he was coming home, we were happy. I was happy too because I had not seen him in a very long time, and I thought that he would only come home to spend some time with us and then return to the country. But when Dave returned, oh boy, he told my father about all the things he had learned and did his usual bragging, and my father fell for it. Dave told my father that he worked part-time with one of the top companies in the country that he studied at, and he helped them triple their earnings in just 2 months of time. Wow, because of his innovative mind, his mind-blowing ideas, and his implementation strategies. There's no asking if my father was blown away by everything Dave said, because he was. He treated Dave like he was some sort of angel, and I felt left out, to be honest. Weeks passed, and Dave and my father's bond grew while I kept running the business. In fact, because of Dave, I deliberately missed dinner because I knew it would be another bragging session for him. Also, he became very annoying because each time I went home and my dad asked how things were at the company, Dave would downplay everything I said. For example, if I told my father we made a few sales, Dave would just respond, you're only making a few sales because you're doing something wrong. If you did X, Y, and Z, you would have gotten this first. And this was becoming more of a habit. I'd say the most annoying part was that each time I tried to argue with him, my father would support him instead of me. In Dave's presence, my father would tell me to listen to Dave because he just graduated from university, and he knew a little thing or two, and some things I didn't. Now, assuming everything ended with Dave always downgrading my efforts and experience, or my father always supporting Dave, I would not have a problem. I already knew it was part of Dave's personality to just show that he was always the smartest one in the bunch, and everyone else could be wrong, except for him, of course. Exactly 1 month after Dave returned, I was about to leave for work one morning, and I noticed Dave was all dressed up in a black suit and a corporate shirt. I didn't really pay much attention to him because we had a clash the previous night. Here's what happened the previous night. My dad and I were discussing a new product I wanted to, add to the market. But Dave ruined my weeks of research on the said product, and he verbally downgraded everything that I suggested. And my father supported him as usual, as if ruining everything was not enough. Dave mocked me and said, if you have gone to college, Mason, I'm sure you would have come up with better ideas to grow the business, not this dumb idea that you have now. So, when I saw him the next morning, I just acted like I didn't even notice him, and just as I was about to take my car keys to leave, my father called me and said there was a new development. Initially, I was curious to know what the development was, but when I saw the proud expression on Dave's face, I knew something had to do with him. My father instructed that I sit first, and after I sat, he began to tell me how experienced Dave was, how he tripled the income of the top company in 2 months, and how it was better for him to take over the business because he had a degree in business. And I did not. After my father said all this, I thought it was a joke, and I could not say anything until after a few seconds have passed. I could not believe that my father was asking me to give up my position to Dave after all these years I've committed to his business. I mean, come on. As I mentioned earlier, I treated my father's business like it was mine. I did everything humanly possible to see it grow, and I told my father it's unfair and unwise of him to ask me to give up the position to Dave, just because he went to college and I did not. But my father insisted that he was doing what was best for the company. I tried to convince him that it was not a smart decision to make Dave the senior manager of the company, but it would be better if he climbed up the corporate ladder instead, like I did. My father flipped, and this caused a fight between us, and he told me that the company was his and he could choose to do whatever he pleased, and that he did not need to get permission from me. Well, right inside the house, my father told me that I've been demoted, and that Dave was now the senior manager. He also instructed that I have to report directly to Dave that day. When he said that, I saw the wide grin and look of achievement on Dave's face, and I was hurt, disappointed, you name it. I could not imagine myself working under Dave because I knew he would use every opportunity to have me publicly humiliated and show that he was better than me in every aspect. So I just resigned right there on the spot and went back into the house to pack my stuff into my car. While I packed, Dave and Dad left for the office together so he could introduce him to everybody, and I just had to crash at my girlfriend's place until I got my own apartment. After the incident, I never went back home, and nobody bothered to call me. I felt like my family literally betrayed me, especially my own father. Sincerely, after resigning from my dad's company, I did not even know where to start. I was down for weeks, but thanks to my supportive girlfriend, I bounced back. It took me a while to get over everything and start applying for jobs, and fortunately I got a job at a competitor company and the pay was great. With all my years of experience from my father's company, the new company I worked for experienced a significant shift and a business was booming for us. In fact, I got promoted in the space of 4 months, and it felt better to be at a new company because I was actually valued and they listened to my suggestions and implemented some of them. Even with my new job, I still did not talk to my parents or Dave. I unfollowed my father's organization on all social media platforms, and I even deleted previous posts that I've made about the company. 6 months after I've resigned from my father's company, I bumped into one of the staff there, and he told me that my father's company was falling apart, all because of Dave. He said as soon as Dave came in, he tried to change the structure of everything that had existed for years, and the company was becoming more toxic every day. He explained that Dave did not know how companies and clients work at all, and he was adamant about change and implementing new technologies, but he kept overloading the staff. Even the staff who told me everything Dave had done said he resigned alongside other staff who were like the pillars of my father's company. Not to sound like a pessimist, but I was somebody, who was somehow pleased that all of that happened because I knew Dave was somebody that would brag who did not know a thing. He bragged that he would triple the company's earnings in 2 months, but he ended up crippling what took years to build, and at the same time, I felt bad for my father, but after thinking about it, I concluded that he deserved everything that he got. After all, it was all his fault that his company had fallen. Now, the main reason I'm sharing my story here today is because a week ago, which is 2 months after I bumped into my former staff, my dad showed up at my house. He went ahead to call my girlfriend and told her he wanted to make amends with me, and she gave him my address. I was at home that weekend, and when I opened up the door, I was shocked to see my father standing right there on the porch. He said that the company was failing, and clients were leaving every day because they preferred to work with me, and not an arrogant Dave. Then he begged that I come back and help him. After I allowed him to say everything he wanted to say, I told him I was not interested and that I was now working with a better company that actually valued me and paid me more. When I said that, my father said he was willing to double my pay and give me back my old positioning. I just laughed so hard and told him the pay wasn't the reason I was so committed to his business. I wasn't interested anymore because I loved my new job. He tried to convince me and even said that I was supposed to build the family business because he would leave it to Dave and me after his demise. Even with that, I was not moved. With all the years I've spent with my father, I know that he's capable of making me work so hard like a donkey. And he would end up willing the business to Dave anyways, because Dave is and always has been his golden child. Long story short, I told my father, it's impossible, Dad. I'm not coming back to your company, and it would be better if you hired a professional to fix everything that Dave has messed up. Then I told him not to show up at my place unannounced again. I don't know why, but my father took offense with what I said, and he left my apartment calling me names. He said that he was disappointed in me because I simply chose to work for another person's company, and not the family business that took care of my needs as a child. I was so mad when he said that, and because I've been nursing the hurt from him demoting me and giving my position to Dave, I yelled at him, and this enraged him more. I told him not to show up at my apartment again or I would call the cops. Then he said that if I did not get back to him in a week's time, which is tomorrow, he would disown me and cut me out of the will. The truth is, I don't care if he disowns me, and I have no interest in his will. I just cannot go back to the company he kicks me out of because of Dave. So my question to you guys is, am I the a-hole if I don't get back to my father's company tomorrow? I look forward to your comments. Thank you. Update number 1. Hey guys. Thank you for your comments. First of all, You're all right. My father acted in anger, and some of you said that he would call and beg, but I doubted it, to be honest. But believe this, yesterday, my dad did call to apologize for the scene that he created. He said he was so sorry, and he only acted that way because he was frustrated and expected me to say yes to his offer. He told me that he had removed Dave from the position and begged me to take it back to the position so I could fix the company and as well show Dave the ropes. Speaking of Dave, 2 days ago he called me and rained abuse on me. He said I was a selfish, childish brat because I refused to help my family in times of need. The funny thing is, he called me with a strange number, and when I recognized him from his stupid voice, I ended the call. He tried calling twice again, and when I did not take the call, he sent me a long text full of insults, and I've read all of your comments and I cannot ignore the harsh truth at this point. A few people commented that my father would not have reached out to me if Dave did well with the company, and that's the truth. Dave has always been my father's favorite child, and I was foolish to think I would take over the company after my father's demise because I loved the business. Just recently, I found out that Dave studying business management was not a coincidence. He did it so he could prove to my father that he was better than me. But look at how that turned out. Anyways, my decision remains crystal clear. I will not go back to my father's company. From all I've heard, Dave has made quite a mess, and I'm tired of cleaning up a mess. He failed to understand that running a profitable company has never been about a degree. It's always about experience and a not book of knowledge. To show how desperate my father has become, he mentioned that his wealth was deteriorating and he could no longer try to keep the business from falling into his hands. He also added that he has had a lot of sleepless nights because he's worried that the business is growing worse every day. This is supposed to move me or something? Funnily enough, he did not have sleepless nights when I moved out of his house without a job. He seemed to be doing pretty well at the time, actually, and he never even reached out once to find out how I was doing, because he believed that he would not need me because his dear Dave was more qualified than me. So, my mother, too, has been begging me to consider my father's offer and simply forgive him for kicking me out of my position like I was nothing. She keeps calling my phone repeatedly, and I don't think I can handle their pestering anymore. I've told my mom to tell my dad that I'm not interested in his offer because I'm not qualified enough and I did not go to college. So he should either let Dave implement all the things he's learned at the university or hire a business professional. So far, I'm doing well in the organization I work for, and working with my team makes me happy and appreciated. My father should know better that pulling the emotional blackmail card will not work on me. Thank you for your suggestions. I just wanted to update you guys. If something else happens, I will make another update. Update number 2. Hey guys, so I have something I want to tell you about. Remember when I mentioned in my last update that my mother had been pleading with me to take my father's offer? But I told her to tell my father I would not accept it, right? So, 4 days ago, my mother showed up at my workplace. When I was told that she had come in to look for me, I was really shocked, because no one knew where I worked, and it turned out that she found out about me through Facebook and decided to pay a visit. I think I forgot to mention that my mom is very dramatic and a manipulative person. Immediately she saw me, started crying, and walked briskly to hug me. I knew she was pretending because the only person my mother always hugged genuinely was Dave. Her attitude towards me changed from the day I declared that I would not go to college because I saw it was a waste of time. Since then, the way she looked at me or treated me has changed. She always treated me like I was a failure and that the only good thing that I was doing in my life was my father's business. She didn't even treat my girlfriend well on the day I brought her home, but she always called Dave's girlfriend whom she had never even met before. After hugging me, she said some things to me. She said that she misses me and that my father's business direly needs me. I didn't care if she was in my office, and I told her it's not possible for me to come back, not with the way I was treated. Even as I make this update, it still hurts me when I remember everything I did for my father's business, working on my sick days just to ensure that everything was under control. But in the end, I was treated like a worthless piece of trash. And my mother did nothing to stop my father. Instead, she supported him and said Dave was the better person for the business because he had always been smarter than me. As soon as I told her I wasn't coming back, her countenance changed and she said, "So, this is it, right? You're going to let your father's business go down the drain because of your selfishness." At this point, she raised her voice to me, and everyone who was around us turned in our direction. I was so embarrassed. I tried to walk out of the office with her, but she refused and started yelling me, calling me worthless, and said many hurtful words. She said I should feel privileged from my father to ask me to come and manage his business, and then she mocked my educational qualifications. When I tried to calm her, she even yelled louder and said she wanted the whole world to know what kind of horrible child I am. I thought it would end there, but then she made the statement, "I don't know what I did to God to deserve a child like you." As a child, had been making that particular statement a lot, and it used to make me feel like I was a mistake. To be honest, because of that statement, I battled with my self-esteem for years because I felt I was never good enough for her in sight. Immediately after she said it, it brought back a lot of memories, a lot of ill memories. And for the first time in my life, I said this: "No, Mom. No, you're wrong. I don't know what I did to God to deserve a mother like you." And she froze. She didn't say anything. She just walked out of the room and has not called me until now. I know it's got to her, and I hope she never forgets it for the rest of her days. Thanks, everyone. Update number 3. Hey guys, I didn't think I'd make another update anytime soon. Also, I didn't know what I was really doing, that I was being verbally abused. The thing is, my parents tried their best to make me a perfect child. But no matter how hard they tried, I just wanted to be me. So when Dave came into the picture and gave them exactly what they pleased, they focused more on him, and they spoiled him with whatever they wanted to and whatever he wanted, and created room for comparison between Dave and me. Well, while my mom always spoke kind words to Dave, she said mean things to me at the slightest provocation. And the more this happened, the more reserved I became. As funny as it sounds, almost all my family members have been calling me concerning my father's business. They've preached, persuaded, and begged me to help out, but nothing can change my mind. Some days ago, one of my family members removed me from our family group chat, and someone else added me again. As soon as I was added again, I just left the group. The good news is that some of my father's old clients, who were also my Facebook friends, are now clients of my new company, because I made a post some days ago about a new product that we were about to add to the market, but they saw it. This was the same product idea I shared with my father, but Dave ruined the chances of bringing it to life. As it is now, I've decided to cut all ties with my family members because they're not worth it. The main reason I made this update is simply because something happened last week. After I advertised the new product I was about to, launch into the marketplace, my father, his lawyer, called me and said that Dave was suing me for sharing my father's company idea with another company. When the lawyer said this, I was confused until I realized it was about my new product. According to Dave, the product was my father's intellectual property, and he claimed that I had no right to share the idea with another company, let alone make it an actual reality, and he sued me to pay a ridiculous amount of money, and I thought this was a joke. Until I was served papers. Yesterday was the court hearing, and I'm grateful. The judge dismissed the case. It was so stupid. I explained everything to him and told him the idea was mine. And when it presented it to my father and brother, they downplayed it and said it was such a stupid idea. So after months in my new company, I pitched the idea again, and with my track record in the organization, they accepted it, and we made it a reality. Also, Dave accused me of stealing my father's old clients, but the judge was not having it, so he dismissed the case completely. I'm so sure that my parents supported Dave with his court case, and they thought that they could have set me up because I refused to come back to the company. After we were done with the court case, I told Dave and my parents that I was officially done with them. And from that day on, they ceased being my family. I knew proud Dave would say something, and he said this: "It's not like we need you anyways." Today marks 1 week of them being out of my life completely, and I just know this path will be lonely as I keep walking down it, but I'm sure I will meet great people. It's way better to be with strangers who treat you with love and appreciate you than with family members who think that you're doing you a favor. I want to say a special thank you, guys, to everybody who left suggestions. Thank you so much.
So I'll be honest, the comment section is split on this one. Towards the end of the story, when OP's father comes to OP begging for OP to go back and help out the family business, OP doesn't want any part of it. OP's already built a whole nother future with another company and is even taking clients away from the other business because they prefer to work with OP way more than the egotistical brother. But some of the comments were saying, hey, your father, he's made a mistake, he's admitted to it, this is still the family business that you're going to inherit, you need to go back and take over the reins. Well, other commenters were saying no, they just want OP to go back and teach the golden child brother how to run the business, and then they're going to give it to him again. He's already been backstabbed once, and they think this will happen again. So I do want to know from you guys your exact thoughts about this one, what you would do if you were in OP's position. Drop it downstairs in the comment section. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories every single day. If you want to be a part of these drama stories, hit that subscribe button right there. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya!